You are in Palm Springs. Okay, just want to make sure. Yes, thank you. Hey, everybody. That's why we call it live. We are here today on this lovely day, on this lovely Tuesday. All right, and we are here with Mr. John White out of the Palm Desert office. Welcome to the show.
Palm Springs. I just
I mean
told
Palm
you.
Springs. I mean Palm Springs. I'm sorry. I just asked you and I screwed it up.
Same
Oh boy.
thing, right?
Anyway, the Palm Springs office. Right.
Good
Exactly.
morning. Good morning,
Good morning,
everybody.
John. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've got 3 cups of coffee in me. I comb my hair, so I'm ready to go. I'm in my underwear though, just to be clear. So I'm not going to slow you down now.
Good. Good. Thanks for the visual.
I like working out of my office. My team's always giving me crap about not being in the downtown office as much because I have to put clothes on if I go downtown. So
You have to have clothes on. You prefer to work out of your house so you can keep it
yeah,
comfortable, right?
just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
All right. Well, tell us a little about yourself. How long you've been doing this? A little bit about your history in real estate, John, please.
sure. So I was actually, looking over some of the talking points, and I calculated that actually tomorrow is my 8th anniversary of getting my real estate license. So I'm at 8 years tomorrow, and came right to Palm Springs from Bakersfield. I was working with my family's business over there for about 30 years before deciding to make a change in my career and my life, and moving over to Palm Springs, and I've been here ever since. So.
Wow. And you've seen a lot of changes, right? I mean, Palm Springs has really become a popular destination. I mean, it's a dynamite place to live.
Yeah, so many factors go into what's happening in our real estate market here, and I think the number one thing is the climate and the ease of lifestyle here. The pace is really good. There's so much to do here, and the cost of living comparatively to other cities in California is actually quite affordable if you consider what's happening on the coast. The bigger cities, San Francisco and LA, San Diego. So we see a lot of people coming over here because they can be in proximity to the coasts, but they can save quite a bit of money, investing in real estate here.
Yeah, they can take their, come out of the Bay Area or wherever they're coming from, sell their house for, millions, go there, pay cash, and still have plenty left to live on, right?
Yeah, that's what we hope to see happen. And certainly with the pandemic hitting, a couple of years ago, we saw a flood of people wanting to move here and work remotely, as everybody's, paying attention to and been part of. But lots of people want to live here, and we're very fortunate to be able to represent both buyers and sellers here who are looking to either move here or sell their place to people who are looking to come here and live in this beautiful desert that we call home. So
Yeah, beautiful desert. But I'm guessing you had a little snow on the mountains recently, didn't you?
yeah, I'm at my home office now, and actually, if I pointed the camera out, we still have snow on the top of the mountains here. We don't have it on the ground, but in Palm Springs, of course, but we do look up and see the snow-capped mountains, at least for a while now. So it's a pretty spectacular time of year to be here.
Yeah, it really is. Do they run that gondola up there during the winter too, or just
Yes,
during?
yes, they do actually. I'm not quite a fan of it because I don't like heights, and going up the mountain on that tram is not my comfort zone. But it's certainly one of the more popular destinations for tourists that come here. But yes, they keep it open year round.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. All right, great. Well, all right. So now, I mean, we've had a little bit of a market change so far too. So how you guys faring out there in Palm Springs with this new market change?
Well, it's certainly affecting things. I was kind of talking to you a little bit earlier, Rick, about how 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, the floodgates opened up, and I in the year 2020, I did more business here than I have in my entire career, even though it's a short 8-year period. Um, Interest rates clearly have chilled our market a bit. The stock market fluctuating has kept some of our cash buyers at bay. But I have to tell you, we are still remaining busy. It's not quite as frenetic as it was a couple years ago or even a year ago, but we're still seeing people come over here because they have decided this is a town that they want to live in, and they're going to come here regardless of the financial situation. So we're very grateful to have the business that we have, and getting the referral business that we have and repeat clients. And in as much as it's not as ideal to buy real estate now as it was maybe a year or 2 years ago, it's still a popular place to come to, and we're very grateful to have the business we have.
Yeah, yeah. Even though we've had incredible appreciation over the last 5, 6 years, last year started out of the gates really hot, and then it slowed down. But we still ended the year with net appreciation, so that's pretty good. I don't know about this year. This year could be flat, but I'm starting to feel good towards the end of the year. I think we might see, like you mentioned earlier, if the interest rates calm down, level out, and the mortgage rates, and I'm talking about the base rate right there, and if the interest rates come down a little bit, there's a lot of people on the sidelines ready to jump in.
Yeah, I see that too. And I read something in today, in the news today, that with this banking collapse that we saw up in the Silicon Valley, and I guess there was another one that hit, collapsed. The Fed is now considering stepping back a little bit on those increases, because they don't want to encourage more, I guess, concern and stress in the banking sector. So that actually, as bad as it is, could reflect on some pullback on those interest rate increases. So we'll have to see what the Fed does here, but
Yeah.
certainly the interest rates have affected every market, and ours
Yeah.
in particular.
Yeah, they've the Fed. I mean, well, think about it. It was zero, in effect, zero 2 years ago, and now, so what is that? Like a 500% increase in the base rate. So
Yeah,
it's surprising that the Fed, and no, I'm not making an excuse for those two banks, but where they had their money invested, if the rates didn't climb that high, they could have gone out of there. No one ever would have noticed. But it's
right.
only because of the rate increase that it exposed where they had their money. So that's not an excuse for them. But the Fed, you figure they're the Fed. They probably would have known that increasing them that fast. That's like historic amounts. And it just goes to show you how healthy the economy and the real estate market is. It can take a blow like that and still be churning along. If we didn't have the tight inventory and the amount of people with equity and money, it would have had even more of a devastating effect on the market.
Oh yeah, and I think if people take into perspective really how low the rates still are in a historical,
Right. You're right.
backward view. I remember the first house I bought, uh, my interest rate was 12.5%,
Yeah.
and and still able to swing it. And so I think we became spoiled with those next to nothing interest rates for so many years, that this sort of jump up has really taken people back. And in time, I believe people will accept that this is going to be the reality for a while. And if you want to get into real estate, you got to jump in. I mean,
Yeah.
time and time and time again, statistics prove that real estate is really one of the best investments you can ever make. And the stock market is going to go up and down, but in time, real estate values do increase. And we just need to encourage our clients and people who are on the sidelines to, without being pushy, to encourage them to consider the historical perspective on how real estate is such a good investment.
Yeah.
And you know,
To- I totally agree. And I'm sure since you've been there for 8 years, you've seen quite an increase in the average sale price.
well, yeah, and I when I came in, we were looking at neighborhoods that are now almost triple in value than what they were when I first started. I mean, it's really unbelievable how much real estate has increased in value here. But having said that, I think our market in the Coachella Valley, again, not to repeat myself, but I think in perspective compared to other cities along the coast in California, it's still a relatively good bargain here.
Now, when you say Coachella, everybody, like a lot of people from Arizona and Nevada, they think, oh, he lives next to that concert.
Well, it's true. Actually, where they hold the Coachella Festival is in India, which is about a 40-minute drive from here, and I've been able to go a couple of times. I think I'm a little old now for it. I'm 61, and it's a young man's game to go out there, but it's a lot of fun for sure. And that, I think that too has, you know, having Coachella and Stagecoach and a lot of these other festivals that we have here, are film festival. For a tiny community, Palm Springs is only about 50,000 people full time here. The entire valley is, I think, around 400,000 ish, give or take. Um, we have a lot going on here for a relatively small community, and so it's kind of exciting time to live here.
It is exciting. Even just walking downtown, like when I go down there, I always stay at the Zoso. It used to be the Hard Rock, and I
Mhm.
just love walking around down there. It's such a great little downtown community, clean, nice. The restaurants are great,
Yeah,
so it's a great place to live.
it's a good place to get away to for sure, and
Yeah,
it's close to a lot of big urban centers. I mean, Vegas, I think, what is it, about a 3 hour drive, three and a half, something like that. But
yeah,
from LA and San Diego, Orange County, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. And so it's a little getaway. And I kind of think you know, there's a lot of people just have getaway homes from the LA area. And that's how Palm Springs started, is
right,
back in the day when celebrities wanted to get away, they had a 2 hour window. Uh, if most of the movies used to be made in Hollywood, right, at the studios, and so if they were on a shoot, they could only go within 2 hour drive from Hollywood, and that's what Palm Springs was. And so a lot of these celebrities, people like Elizabeth Taylor and Cary Grant, all those kinds of people, ended up having homes here, and so they could get out of Los Angeles and get away from all the stress of working over there, but still have a place that they could get away to, that allowed them peace and quiet.
yeah.
And so all these years later, now we have communities called the Movie Colony and others, where a lot of celebrities ended up having houses here. So it's kind of exciting. It's kind
It
of
is
cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. All right, so now let's get to you here. Okay, so you've been doing this 8 years. You're very, very good producer in the business. Like you said, 2020, 2021, two of your best years. Tell us, like, if you could narrow it down to the three most important things, what would they be to be a success in this business?
Um, you mean if I were to do it again, I guess, is
Yeah.
that what
Yeah,
so
yep. You can take it like that for sure.
yeah, well, I certainly, as a new realtor, if somebody's just starting, one of the first things I would tell them is to do as many open houses as you can. And I know that that was a little bit of a problem during COVID, but now that it's not, I got to tell you, that's the number one thing that I would recommend to anybody, is just to get in front of people, get to know them personally as much as you possibly can. And I know that's somewhat limited, but I didn't think I was going to make it at first. I was struggling as a new realtor, and when I came into this town not knowing one single soul, I mean, I moved here basically without any sense of community or anything like that. So I guess I would say get in front of people at open houses, just talk to them and try to be yourself as much as you can, because people will respond to a magazine ad or maybe a postcard, but they're going to respond better to you as a person when they know you and can speak to you. So I would say get as much opportunity as you can, to be in front of people. Um, the other things I would do over would probably be more consistent with social media posts, and trying to build my brand. I mean, I think I've done a fairly decent job building a brand here. I've created a logo that sort of feels a little bit mid-century modern, and I came from the toy business before, so I knew a little bit about branding and packaging and stuff like that. And I think that's a very important component to someone's overall branding strategy, is to get professional advice on how to set yourself apart visually, because there's a lot of clutter out there, and there's a lot of places you can just go online and build a logo or build your brand sort of easily, or sort of without much thought. So take your time and spend a little bit of money doing that. And then I think thirdly, I would try to get myself involved in community groups a little bit more than I had at first. Like the Chamber of Commerce and fundraisers and volunteer work, things like that. Those things will get you ingratiated with the community. And now that I sit here 8 years into doing this, the number one source of my business is now referrals and return customers. And if you can build that, at the outset, you're really going to be golden moving forward. What's the statistic, Rick, about? I know there's a statistic about how much your business at some point does come from referrals. I don't know what that number is, but I can tell
Well,
you
Yeah,
Go ahead.
after about 3-4 years, it's going to be 50% or more of your business for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It should
if
be.
you're, it should be, and that's where I would say I'm probably closer to 80% now. So, you know, the other thing I would suggest doing, and I'm still not very good about this, is developing your database and doing customer CRM stuff. I am really bad at that, and I told my manager here, Dwayne Carrier, that I was going to get on that this year. So I'm going to make a point of being a little bit more robust about CRM and making sure
Yeah.
you're touching base with people on a regular basis.
Well, yeah, and you know what? It's a great point, John, because our CRM, the Virtual Agent Center 2.0, that you once you set it up once, like you go through, like let's say you're calling your sphere, while you're calling them, you set them up on the VAC, and now they're getting stuff from you: neighborhood reports, market reports, newsletters, birthdays, anniversaries. You can do all of that stuff. It's all marketed, like you said, so it comes out looking good too.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the goals I want to do this year, and I know one of the things you were wanting to talk about is goals. Clearly, I want to make as much money as I can and build my team up. I've got two tremendous agents that are alongside me, Deb Anderson and Tim Cutler, who I'm doing a shout out to. I don't know if they're on this call or not, but if they are, hi, you guys. We are a little family, and I love the idea of being able to help them out, help them to build their business by, delegating some of the work and some of the clients that I have to them. In fact, they were going to be doing a photo shoot today for a new listing that I was able to hand them. But the clouds are a little heavy here, and so they're putting that off until Thursday. So I'm looking to generate about $50 million in sales this year, hopefully,
That's
in spite of what's happening. I'm off to a good start, and that's my goal. The other things I would say I'm looking to do this year would be more consistency in my social media posts, more video. I've been looking and following Jason Pantana quite closely, who's part of the Tom Ferry group.
yeah,
That guy's a dynamite guy, and I would tell everybody listening here to Google Jason Pantana if you can, because that guy has directed me to a lot of really innovative ideas, and he goes a mile a minute. But if you can just take one or two of the things that he does suggest and follow through, you'll be surprised at how much it makes a difference.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, that sounds consistent with Tom in moving a mile a minute. Tom Ferry kind of he moves a little too, which is great. Yeah.
I have a hard time just listening to this, like trying to take notes because he goes. I'm sure you know who this guy is,
Oh
Rick.
yeah, no, I know exactly who he is. Yeah, he's been partnering up with Tom for a while now.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a big fan of his. The other thing I really spent a lot of time with this last year was developing my Google business page, and I know it can be a little bit of a challenge, but it's really really important to get yourself out there in front of people who are searching specifically for what you do. And so, if you haven't developed a Google business page, absolutely get on that, and learn as much as you can about putting content on there. I try to put content in there as 4 or 5 times a week if I can. And every time you sell a house or sell a listing, or whether it's buyer or seller, make sure you go after those reviews, because reviews are what people want to see, who don't have any idea about who you are. That they will read the reviews that you have posted on there. And I think it's vital that you get that word of mouth that's not from you. And it's not you on a video saying I'm so awesome. It's somebody else telling you independently how happy they were with your work as a realtor. So reviews are so important.
Yeah, I think reviews are a big part of having a good, like you said, branding yourself, having your own marketing, definitely having a huge social media presence. Because I mean, really, if you don't have a social media presence, it's just you not accepting the new reality, which is, you're way more relevant and it's free if you exercise what you can do with social media.
Right. This is another thing I want to talk about. I don't know how much time we have, Rick, and I don't want
Sure.
to overdo it here. But one of the
No, go
things
right
that
ahead.
I have discovered this last year, and I'm encouraging my teammates Deb and Tim, they're listening here, and I think they're going to hear it from me again. But there's a new technology out there. It's it's that Chat GPT,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, free online. You just sign up for it. I don't even think you sign up for it. You log in, uh, and you are able to create all kinds of content. I recently added a blog post to my website, johnwhiterealtor.com, and I would encourage you guys to take a look at that. If you go onto my website and you go to my blog posts, you'll see, I think I've put maybe 20 blog posts on now, and 95% of that was created artificially with artificial intelligence. Now, I didn't just, create it and post it. I actually read it over, made sure that it was accurate in terms as much as I could, and added some of my own personal touches to it. Hashtags at the bottom. It's an amazing technology that makes you relevant to people who are looking for advice and direction. I've added things about mortgage rates, buying versus renting, whether or not that's, what works for everybody is different, but it's always better to try to buy a house than to rent one, as everybody knows on this. I've focused on things to do in our local community, architects that are notable here, neighborhood spotlights, where I take and educate people about the different neighborhoods that are popular here in Palm Springs. So I think my point is that there are tools out there for us to use that are easier than ever. And if you're not really good at writing or comfortable, even with writing up a listing description for a house, you can go on there and say, I need you to write, a listing description for the MLS that's on this particular address. And within about 30 seconds, you'll have it. It's not something you want to just completely lean on, but you have to put it as part of your arsenal. It's a vitally important thing.
Yeah. It's almost crazy scary how good it is too, right? Artificial intelligence.
I'm sure you've worked with it, Rick. I mean, it's unbelievable, the technology that's in our hands today. I mean, you just think about realtors in the past, just going back to GPS, like how much easier it is to get to a listing, go, take a buyer around on a tour. I mean, used to be that people have to pull maps out.
Right.
So we have to educate, just take the tools that we have. This is unbelievable, right? You can do so much as a realtor today that we couldn't do even 10, 15 years ago. So
I know it. If you told me 10 years ago, I'd be dictating all my texts and my emails through my cell phone, I would tell you you're out of your mind, but I do it all the time. I never type anymore.
Yeah, I know. You got to be sure to check it though, because
yeah. Sometimes it says stuff that I'm like, where did it get that?
Yeah, you don't want to send it without looking at it. But
no, you definitely got to read it.
I just think it's easy. Technology has made our jobs unbelievably easy. It doesn't mean it's going to just roll into you without some effort, but you've got to take the tools that we have at our, in our hands today and try to utilize them the best you can.
No, I agree with that. Awesome, John. Well, hey, we're right at time here, so I just want to say thank you very much. This has been very helpful. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot out of this today, John, and I will support you in your goal. I think that's a really good goal for this year coming. And we will see you on Monday because we're taking the magic bus here from Vegas over to Palm Springs, baby.
Not Palm Desert. Palm Springs.
Not Palm Desert. No. I used to go because I worked for Mike Ferry for years. So anytime I said Palm, it was always followed by desert because we used to go to that Marriott Desert Springs. The Superstar Retreat was there for 20 years.
Anyway, we'll see you on Monday. And thanks for having me today, Rick. It's nice to be on here. I appreciate it.
John, thank you very much for taking your time out, man. This is awesome. Thank you. See you Monday.
Bye-bye.
You too. Thanks.